Coming up on Chris 6 News at 5, a CCPD officer has been arrested after being accused of crossing the line while in the line of duty. We'll bring you the details next. Plus, new information on the fatal shooting on Navajo Street. We'll bring you those details just ahead. Chris 6 News at 5 starts right now. Well, good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Clara Benitez Cortez. A local police officer is under investigation accused of crossing the line during a call for help. Back on August 17th, Eliseo Martinez and his partner responded to a domestic disturbance at the Palms at Blucher Park Apartments. Once the situation was cleared, the officer walked the victim back to her apartment alone. In an arrest affidavit obtained by Chris 6 News, the victim told investigators he turned off his body camera, threw it on a pile of clothes, and touched her inappropriately. Video obtained by CCPD from the hallway shows him entering with the camera on and leaving with it off. He gave investigators conflicting stories about why. The affidavit also includes a conversation with his partner where he's heard making inappropriate comments about the woman. She says she asked for a female officer multiple times, but no one responded. The Corpus Christi Police Department says the case remains open and under investigation. Martinez resigned from CCPD on Monday and turned himself in the next day after an arrest warrant was issued. He has been charged with an indecent assault, a Class A misdemeanor. Now, an update on the Navajo Street shooting in Corpus Christi. Police say a man arrested at the scene at yesterday's shooting on Navajo admitted he fired the shot that left another man dead. That shooting happened just after 1 p.m. at home on the 3900 block of Navajo Street. When police arrived, they found a man who had been shot in the stomach. He later died at a local hospital. When the suspect, 44-year-old Jeffrey Berger, was detained, he told officers he had a revolver. Berger claimed the victim had stolen from him in the past, and that's why he, quote, did what he did. Berger asked if the victim was okay, saying he didn't mean to hurt him. Back at police headquarters, Berger again admitted he shot the victim. He's been charged with murder. Now, it's been a little while since we checked our lake levels. Sadly, there's not been a ton of movement in the right direction. After a brief jump from 12.4% to 12.7% with the rain last week, we are now back down to 12.4% today. And speaking of water, I think it's time we turn things over to meteorologist Stephanie Lauber for a first look at our forecast. Are we going to be getting any water anytime soon here?
Well, we really could use some. September was a little bit of a disappointment. We were talking about how it's our wettest month of the year on average. It underperformed. We only got about half the rain that we typically see, and now we're starting to move into a bit more of a drier season, but there's still light at the end of the tunnel here. There are some positives we can draw from it. Have a look at our average yearly rainfall. This is typically what we expect during the month of, well, all the months really. We usually get a little less than 5.5 inches of rainfall during the month of September. October, well, there's a big drop, but we still tend to see more than 3 inches of rainfall during this month. Heading into November and eventually December, that's where things drop off to about an inch or two. It's not very promising in that regard. But as we head on through October, we are starting things off with some rain chances in the mix. I'm very excited to tell you about that. We'll talk about that, how our lake levels will be transitioning. In fact, it's really a situation where we need to get this drought under control to really see meaningful change at our lake levels. We've got the worst drought in all of Texas within our watershed in Medina County, and that is also kind of hampering our progress a little bit because when we see rainfall, a lot of times those dry soils will either suck it right up, or things just evaporate before we get the rainfall into our water supply. So again, we'll break down what's to come in your full forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Stephanie, thank you. And just a friendly reminder that we are still under Stage 3 water restrictions. Some of those restrictions include no lawn watering. Home car washing is limited to hand washing with a 5-gallon bucket on your designated watering day. Swimming pools can be maintained but must be covered when not in use. And hand watering of gardens and plants is allowed, but only before 10 a.m. and after 6 p.m. And foundation watering by drip irrigation is allowed every other week on your designated watering day. Well, in international news, 2 people are dead and 4 are injured after a car ramming and stabbing outside a British synagogue today. Police say the suspected attacker was fatally shot within 10 minutes of police receiving an emergency call. Authorities say the suspect wore a vest that had the appearance of an explosive device. This is being investigated as a terrorist incident. In national news, the White House says mass layoffs are imminent in the midst of the government shutdown, with the administration saying they could begin later this week. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt spoke on the potential layoffs earlier today.
Look, it's likely going to be in the thousands. It's a very good question, and that's something that the Office of Management and Budget and the entire team at the White House here, again, is unfortunately having to work on today.
Well, Leavitt continued saying they are looking at agencies that don't align with their values and they feel are a waste of taxpayer money. Now, what agencies will be affected by this shutdown the earliest? Well, the FBI Agents Association says this could affect their ability to perform their duties. Service members are also among those not getting paid, even though most are still working. House Speaker Mike Johnson was asked today on the holdup with a budget deal.
People say, why aren't you negotiating with Schumer and Jeffries? Because I quite literally have nothing to negotiate. There's nothing I can pull out of the bill that was a Republican priority to say, oh, we won't do that. Why don't you guys vote for it now? I don't have anything. I didn't put anything in it to send it over.
Mike Johnson says the House will be in session next week and hopes that something will have passed the Senate by then. And the Trump administration has delayed the tariffs on pharmaceutical drugs that was set to go into effect yesterday. A White House official says the tariffs will not be levied while the administration evaluates companies' proposals to reduce prices and increase U.S. manufacturing. However, that official does say the tariffs are still being worked on. And the Trump administration is canceling nearly $8 billion in climate funding. Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought made the announcement on X, calling the money green scam funding and saying it fuels the leftist climate agenda. Vought did not specify which projects are being impacted by this funding loss. And the University of Texas was one of the 9 major schools to receive a letter from the White House regarding federal funding. In the letter, there is a 10-point memo that includes banning the use of race or sex in hiring and admission, a 5-year freeze on tuition, capping international undergrad enrollment at 15%, and requiring an SAT or similar test to be taken. Universities that sign on will receive, quote, substantial and meaningful federal grants, end quote. Well, multiple people were injured at an explosion at a hotel under construction this morning in Houston. The Houston Fire Department says that initial reports suggest a boiler led to the blast. Emergency response included a hazmat team at the scene. The building was not open to the public. Well, Governor Greg Abbott has unveiled a new public safety initiative aimed at stopping repeated violent offenders in the Houston area. The task force for the initiative combines DPS troopers, special agents, Texas Rangers, and local law enforcement. It also supported by aircraft intelligence operations. Abbott spoke more on this need for this force.
But they have tools and information that will allow them to specifically target who they want to go after to make sure we will be able to get to that repeat offender before that repeat offender will be able to get to their next victim.
The initiative will include visible patrols in high crime neighborhoods alongside covert surveillance to monitor individuals with histories of violent crime. And Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton issued an interesting letter to a few towns today, stating that these towns raise the property tax by up to 51%, which is well above the legally allowed no new revenue rate for cities. The letters were sent to the towns of La Marquis, Odessa, Tombeen, and Whitesboro. And in Alice ISD held their annual State of the District luncheon today. Superintendent Dr. Anicia Trevino spoke to attendees about the financial aspects needed after graduation. She says in her time with the district, they have been able to get to a B rating, and that the most important goal for the district is having well-rounded students who excel in both academics and our career readiness. Well, speeding concerns in your neighborhood. Coming up, we'll hear from a resident who's pleading for something to be done in his neighborhood.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. New nonstop flights to Denver begin a week from today at the Corpus Christi International Airport. Frontier Airlines' new service begins Thursday, October 9th at 5:30 p.m. with the arrival of the first flight from Denver International Airport. The first flight from here to Denver will take off at 6:45 p.m. Frontier's nonstop flights to Denver will be available twice a week on Thursdays and Sundays. And making news today, Tesla set a record for vehicle sales in the third quarter this year. The news pushed Tesla stock up and CEO Elon Musk's net worth to a new record. The company reported selling nearly 500,000 vehicles worldwide from July through September. It was a 29% jump in sales over the second quarter. American buyers rushed to buy Teslas before the $7,500 federal tax credit expired on Tuesday. And Meta will soon use what people tell its AI chatbot to target them with more personalized ads. Users will start to see these changes next week, but it won't officially go fully into effect until December 16th. Meta already targets ads based on posts, clicks, and social connections, but now conversations with Meta AI, like shopping plans or travel ideas, will help guide both ads and connect recommendations. Well, over on the south side, neighborhood news reporter Tony Jaramillo spoke to a resident living in the Barcelona Estates subdivision close to Castores and Saratoga about speeding concerns last year. Well, now Scott Garza says speeding isn't the only issue, as he's had 2 mirrors broken in 2 years. Scott says he's collected signatures from people in his neighborhood who want speed bumps installed. That failed when the city said his street didn't meet the threshold needed.
At this point, we're begging for anything. We are begging for anything because the risk is there.
Public Works Department tells Chris 6 News because Scott didn't fill out a separate petition form for the feedback readers, the process did not move forward. And just a reminder, folks, if you're about to hit the road, that work on Aaron Drive is continuing today. There's a traffic change where Saratoga Boulevard to Summer Wind Drive is limited to one-way southbound traffic right now. Driveways are still accessible, and you are asked to follow the posted detour signs to navigate the construction zone for both your safety and the safety of workers.
All right, but what if you're heading out the door now for that ride home? We're taking in the view from SPID this evening, and things are moving smoothly in both directions from our view. But let's see if that's the case for the rest of the Coastal Bend commute around Corpus Christi. Doing okay along 37, but I wanted to highlight some slowdowns on SPID. This is eastbound, heading out toward the Bluff, and we're seeing some of these slowdowns now backing up beyond Weber, and things are looking to be a bit slow around Staples. So expect some of those delays. As we zoom in a bit closer, Staples is going to be slow, the usual spots from about Hanlon Middle School all the way down to Saratoga, so prepare for some of that. But on the flip side, at least Weber is looking a little better this afternoon. As you head out, make sure you stay safe and you drive safe. I'll be back with your forecast right after this. All right, we're looking pretty good out there. It is shaping up to be a very nice afternoon across the Coastal Bend, and the only thing that could make this better was if we had some rain in the forecast, which is not exactly what's happening right now. But wanted to show you that we had some clouds that have been looking a little more hopeful off in the distance today. More moisture helps with that. So there was a cloud that looked like it wanted to give us some rain. Of course, we're not expecting any today, but we're looking at clouds that are pretty far away from this view. I'll show you the bird's eye view now. And really, any kind of exciting clouds would be well off to our northwest. But for the most part, we've had those fair weather, puffy white cumulus clouds that just help to make for a little shade on a sunny day like today, especially what's been more of a humid day out there. So I also wanted to point out the sea breeze that we could see picking up with those east winds right there. Yep, that clearing along the coast is that sea breeze that happens because land and heat, they heat up, land and water, I should say, heat up at different rates. So when the Gulf is a little bit cooler and having a hard time catching up to that heating on land, we get that sea breeze that tends to clear things through. That can be a spark for some showers. And we're hoping that will keep things in the forecast as we go through the next couple of days. We have generally an east wind, but we also are going to have a little wrinkle of low pressure that comes by to help increase those rain chances. And it all starts with the main ingredient in this recipe, having some water in the air above us before we start talking about rainfall, right? That's the difference today. We're starting to see some of those oppressive dew point temperatures back in the mix, 70s. That's that air you can wear. And right now it's generally along the coast, but I think during the overnight we will all be feeling more of that. Here we go. Temperatures hanging out near 90 degrees. We didn't get too far away from the average today because that humidity kind of parks our ability to warm up. So we will keep temperatures fairly similar to where they've been, pretty close to where they're supposed to be for this time of the year, but that humidity is going to make things feel less comfortable out there. You'll notice that into the overnight as relative humidity goes up to around 90%, calm winds, could see some patchy fog out there. That's if we don't have a quick little shower racing through. That is a possibility for our coastal neighborhoods, but I think more of the opportunity for rainfall will be in the afternoon. But for the rest of tonight, expect it to be a generally calm evening. Temperatures will be down in those middle 70s before it's all said and done, and we'll start the morning off in the 70s. Probably not going to get to enjoy those 60s for about another week or so, but we've got rain to trade. Very humid conditions gives us that main ingredient for the recipe, rainfall, water in the air. So our rain chances are looking better tomorrow, just hoping that that afternoon sea breeze plus the area's wrinkle of low pressure moving by can tap into some of that moisture and give us rain chances during the early afternoon. Afterwards, our rain chances are going to be looking hit or miss during the weekend, but next week things are looking better, and I'm very hopeful as we head into next Thursday. There are indications that we could be seeing our next cold front, which would really help us out because that helps to tap into some of that rainfall that we typically expect. So here it is, a look at your 7-day forecast. Temperatures will stay close to where we expect them, and we'll keep our fingers crossed for that cold front next week.
Butterflies are coming to Kingsville, and so is a big celebration. I'm Tyrese Boone, and I'll show you how the Butterfly Blitz is bringing families together while making the community bloom.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
I'm Tyrese Boone, your Kingsville neighborhood news reporter. This weekend, the skies will be filled with monarch butterflies, and neighbors near and far will be able to get an up-close experience. The Butterfly Blitz returns for its 4th year in Kingsville. The festival celebrates Kingsville's title as Monarch City, USA. Families can come out to Dick Clayburgh Park and find educational booths, vendors, live music from the Texas A&M Kingsville Jazz Band, and story time in the garden.
It's wonderful. My son loves being outdoors and loves reading, so it was a perfect combination, being outdoors and reading books.
The weekend also brings dozens of butterflies for families to see up close, something parents say will create lasting memories.
I would love to come with my son, especially since they're going to be releasing 30 monarch butterflies and tagging them, so it's going to be a great experience for him to witness that.
Organizers say it's not just a family outing, it's a chance to learn how to protect these pollinators and the ecosystems they depend on.
Kingsville is a monarch city, and so this is our effort to celebrate, raise awareness, and provide entertainment and education, everything, butterflies, insects, birds, everything.
But for locals here, the Butterfly Blitz is also about tourism and community pride, showing visitors why Kingsville is known for its monarch migration.
It's about education, and we might know it, but the public needs to know, and getting the kids at this age and teaching them what's good for things and what's not.
The Butterfly Blitz kicks off this Friday at Dick Clayburgh Park. Reporting from Kingsville, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Tyrese Boone, Chris 6 News.
All right, Tyrese, thanks. How big can a pumpkin get and how many seeds can it hold? We'll show you the details on this gigantic pumpkin when we come back.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
So how heavy can a pumpkin get? Well, if you guess anything less than 1,800 pounds, you would be wrong. A farm in Maryland has grown a pumpkin nicknamed My Man Mason to a whopping 1,852 pounds. Look at that thing, huge. The pumpkin will remain on display at the farm until the 27th of this month, and the farm is also hosting a promotion where the first person to guess the amount of seeds within the pumpkin will win a $300 gift card to the farm. I don't know. I would say a lot of seeds, right?
I feel bad whoever has to count it so that they can know who won.
Exactly.
That's a big job.
That is a lot of job. What if they missed out one seed and, we'll see. We'll have to know.
Yeah, it's a big deal there, literally.
Yeah.
Well, it's time to play my favorite game of the week, which is Misery Loves Company. Take a look at temperatures across the contiguous U.S. We're looking at some pretty warm temps throughout the center of the country. So if you're upset that you don't have a cold front yet, yeah, there are others that are too, but I think we might get one next Thursday.
Alrighty, fingers crossed. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you here at 6 o'clock.